let's move on now to the Detroit Lions 2023 season prediction, where Ryan and I will go over the entire Lions season and give our predictions on their floor and ceiling and overall playoff probability. But before we do that, if you have not already, smash that subscribe button and also ring the bell to get notified whenever we create new content. Ryan and we are starting our Sunday show this Sunday on September 2nd, September 3rd, my apologies, at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, where we will review this week's action and also start previewing this upcoming week. So since this is the first week, going into week one, we will be giving our bold predictions for every single NFL team and also previewing the first game of the season. Also, Ryan and I will be starting a fun season-long competition where we will predict and make videos on every single NFL game. So if you want to see all of our Lions predictions, and you probably do because we have them winning a lot of games, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified. And Ryan, let's get into it here.
Let's do it.
So as I already foreshadowed, we have the Lions having a great season. We have them winning the division, have them being one of the top teams in the NFC. And just for fun, whenever I've done this myself, I've had the Lions go to the Super Bowl just because there's arguments that I can make in my head where I think that they can match up well against the teams in the NFC, against the Eagles, against the Cowboys. And so I would love to see it. And they even start off against Super Bowl champs. So on September 7th, we're going to have a fun kind of little appetizer into what the season will be like for the Lions, even without Jameson Williams. But kind of before we get into that, it's normally we're talking about all the other numbers here and the breakdowns of their record. But what does it for me is I just think we've seen this build up, and we've seen what Dan Campbell has built. And these guys just want to play for him, and they play for him hard. They had nothing for the second half of that year. They knew they were out, and they're like, "Hey, let's just go win games," and they did. I think they went on just a huge streak. They almost beat so many teams. They should have beat the Seahawks, should have beat the Vikings in week 2, should have beat the Bills on Thanksgiving Day. Well, maybe not should have, but fought hard against them on Thanksgiving Day. All the plays go their way. They're in the playoffs, and I wouldn't have wanted to play the Lions in the playoffs last season.
Oh, no, so, not at all.
There's Jared Goff, I think. He's still young. I think Monroe St. Brown is one of the best receivers in the league. They did get Marvin Jones back. I know he's much older. I think he's just a good veteran presence. But then they had Jahmyr Gibbs. Aiden Hutchinson-led defense is vastly improved. This is just not a team that I want to play against. And I think they're just kind of I think they're the new America's team. I think everybody just kind of wants the Lions to do well.
Well, there was I don't even want to say a few years ago, but I think it was 10 years ago when they made the playoffs with Matt Stafford back when there was only 6 teams. I think they were the 6th seed, and then they got bounced in the first round. But I remember everybody was cheering so hard for them because they've just been kind of the dog of the NFL now for 20 years.
The Thanksgiving, football on Thanksgiving now is almost as it's just a part of the tradition. Even if you're not a football fan, but it's just something that you do, there's always football on. Yeah. And every year, and I'm not trying to bash the Lions franchise, but it's just we have to watch them struggle and just play all these just miserable games. And it was honestly a breath of fresh air to see them compete against the Bills. And because you knew it's there was just a momentum. There's just a different type of vibe around this team. And even now, just looking at their schedule, I know we had the Chiefs winning here, but we fought hard, back and forth, because the Lions are better in the trenches than the Chiefs.
They are.
They have better
on both sides.
On both sides of the ball. And I think that's going to cause some fits for the team. The Chiefs, a young or I don't say young receiving corps.
Inexperienced
overall. And they still have Travis Kelce, which is going to be a nightmare. And then Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, sometimes that's all you need for a victory. So it's not a guarantee that this is a win here, but I think 13-2-2, 13-4, 15-2. Yeah. Maybe that's a little high overall. Because that's putting a lot of chips in one pile. But this is a double-digit win team. This is a playoff team for sure. One of the best teams in the NFC, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, but let's get into their record here. So tough matchup in week 1, especially going in on they're going to be hanging a banner in Kansas City. That's going to be a tough atmosphere to go and win in.
I will say, if there was going to be a time to play them, week 1 would be it.
Week 1 would be it. They're going to have
November or December.
They're going to have 2 totally new tackles. like we already said, that receiving core is going to be very inexperienced. So it's going to be interesting. I'm very, very much looking forward to that. It's almost a week away. But then Seattle, they should have beat Seattle last year, but they kind of got caught up in the shootout. Also, their defense was not good at this point of last year.
I think it was actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was also week 2 or week 3. And it was just an absolute horrible defensively played game.
Yeah. No, it was not good. But then after that, weeks 3 through 8, they play 6 teams, 5 of which they are definitely better than. Not to bash on your Falcons here, but the Lions are a much better team. Green Bay.
They are.
Yeah. Green Bay, definitely a much better team. Carolina, definitely a much better team. Tampa, definitely a much better team. Baltimore will give them some fits just because they're so different on offense than anybody else in the NFL right now. And we will see a difference now that Greg Romans isn't calling plays for them. But I think that could give that defense some fits. And then Raiders, they're definitely better than. So, like, through the first part of the year, they really, in my opinion, have 2 tough games. And then the other 6, they should win.
Well, I want to clarify that a little bit. It will still be a tough game against Seattle. It will still be a tough game against the Falcons. I can see the Packers and Panthers having some trouble. But even then, though, if we switch a couple things around, I still think 6-2 is highly realistic heading into the point of the season.
And a week 9 bye is perfect because then you're playing 8 games and then 9 games. Like you couldn't ask for it to be any better. So tough game out of the bye against the Chargers,
but they match up well against them.
They do. They do. Especially they run the ball really well, and the Chargers' kryptonite the last 3 seasons has been their run defense. So, but then after that, you have just a litany of easy games up until they play the Cowboys in week 17, and then they get the Vikings 2 out of the last 3 weeks, which they should have beat the Vikings last year. And I think the Vikings we both think the Vikings vastly overperformed last year.
Yeah.
So.
So they have a tough first half of the season, which I think that they still can manage very well. 6-2 is I would say in the middle of the bell curve of their overall records coming out of that. And then, as you said, a favorable game, a tough game, but a favorable game matchup wise against the Chargers, and then a lot of division games. Actually 5 division games of their remaining 8. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I believe.
Yeah, after the Chargers.
Yeah. So, all in all, like, I think the Lions, they got a really nice schedule. I think this team is better than they were last year, even at the end. And then also one thing we didn't mention, after week 6, Jameson Williams is coming back. So that offense will get a nice boost of speed and energy midway through the season. So that's going to be nice for them. But, man, they look dangerous. This defense should be vastly improved. I'm very excited about the Lions.
Yeah. No, they're one of the few teams on both sides that is a playoff lock, in my opinion. But I mean, I have them winning the division, but not like a division lock, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like so, but they're a playoff lock for sure. They will make the playoffs again.
Yeah. No, I really like what they have going for them in 2023. So we'll just have to see if they can put it out on the field. So. Let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on how you think the Detroit Lions are going to do in 2023. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.